Hey, Eastern students!
We're the help-seeking group for sexual violence in the social work program.
This semester, my classmates and I came together to create a video that will help the Eastern community find resources that will help them navigate through sexual assault and interpersonal violence.
Our main mission in this project is to really bridge the gap between students and faculty, staff, and resources that Eastern provides to connect students with resources for help seeking regarding sexual assault and interpersonal violence. We hope this helps.
We're met here today with Star Byram, the director of the Unity Wing, and we're going to hand it off to her.
Hi Star, thank you so much for being here. Can you please tell us about the Unity Wing?
Yes. So as they said, my name is Star, and just to share a little bit about the Arthur L. Johnson Unity Wing, it is a space on campus that works very specifically to increase awareness of issues related to inclusion, diversity, equity, within the Arthur L. Johnson Unity Wing, which is named after a former professor who taught here at Eastern. We work to build connections with our students and ensure that they are informed of resources like the Intercultural Center, the Pride Center, and the Women's Center.
Thank you for that, Star. Could you tell us what specific resources that the Unity Wing provides for students seeking help for sexual violence?
Yeah, so something that's really important to us as it relates to the spaces within the Arthur L. Johnson Unity Wing is ensuring that we have safe, welcoming, supportive spaces for students to be able to come into. Our centers are generally open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And in our spaces, we have student ambassadors as well as administrators, graduate interns who serve in these spaces. Resources that we offer, what we will do is we will provide students with a brochure that really just outlines issues related to interpersonal violence. So it's not exclusively talking about sexual assault, but also giving an overview as to what domestic and dating violence is, stalking is, sexual assault, and really other levels of interpersonal violence. We think it's important for students to be informed so that they are able to name their experiences. Generally, students are coming into our space, and so we provide a private area to be able to have that conversation, and they're able to choose what space they want to sit down and speak in. And again, it is private. It should be mentioned that while we do provide such resources, I'm not a confidential, like none of the centers within the Arthur L. Johnson Unity Wing are confidential spaces, which basically means if a student comes to our center to report that they or someone they know has experienced some level of interpersonal violence, then that does have to be reported to another member of the sexual assault and interpersonal violence response team so that additional resources and information can be provided. So resources don't necessarily all come from the Arthur L. Johnson Unity Wing. What I typically do, as well as support persons of the Unity Wing, is we'll go over how the sexual assault and interpersonal violence response team can respond, which includes providing an overview of academic intervention options, also giving students the choice and information about reporting to campus police or Title IX, or even connecting with supportive resources like counseling and psychological services. We also, within those resources, provide students with a Save Our Tea card, and that's it's like a small wallet size card that they can put into their wallet, just in the event that if in that moment students are not ready to speak with someone about their experience, they can always go back to this, they can always go back to the brochure, and then just look at where am I in this process, where am I on this journey of healing, seeking justice, just to identify who it is that they are ready to reach out to for additional support.
So how can the students reach out to you or the Unity Wing if they need help or if they are seeking help with sexual and interpersonal violence?
Yeah, oftentimes the ways that we're connected with students is they can walk into the centers. Oftentimes they're going to be greeted by a student ambassador who sits right here at the front desk, and we have ambassadors in all of our centers. And so a student can come in and say, I would just like to speak with someone about something that I'm dealing with. If the student is not comfortable, they don't have to go into great detail, but just I'm looking to just talk to someone about something that I'm dealing with. And then that student will reach out to an administrator that serves within their center. Typically, they're already in this space, and then they'll come and connect with the student. Not everyone, though, feels comfortable coming into the Intercultural Center or the Pride Center or the Women's Center. And so some other ways that folks connect with our resources and services is by way of speaking with an RA or a teacher, a faculty, professor, person, and they can also assist with connecting students to the resources and people who help them with just navigating services and support. Students can also reach myself, Starshimar, at byram@easternct.edu. And then you can also call really any of the centers. I won't give all the full numbers, it'll probably just be a bit confusing, but my email address is byrums@easternct.edu. And students can also call me at 860-465-4314.
Thank you, Star. That was really helpful information. So now, can you tell us where the Unity Wing is located?
Yes, the Unity Wing is located in the Student Center on the first floor. It's the same level as the Fitness Center. You walk down the hallway, you'll see a beautiful mural, and you are greeted by the Pride Center, and then you work your way down that hallway and you see the SGA room, and then the Intercultural Center, and then the Pride Center. So yes, a very welcoming space for all students.
Do you have any more additional information for us?
Yes, so something that I think is important to mention is that in addition to our off-campus resources like the United Services Domestic Violence Program, as well as the Sexual Assault Crisis Center of Eastern Connecticut, right here on campus, we do work closely with the Student Health Services who provide medical assistance to students who have been impacted really by many forms of interpersonal violence that do include sexual assault as well as domestic dating violence. And so we want to be sure that students are informed of those very important resources. Something else that I did want to mention is within the Arthur L. Johnson Unity Wing, the Intercultural Center, Pride Center, and Women's Center, we take a very intersectional approach. We recognize that interpersonal violence can impact anyone. And so really all of our centers work closely to increase awareness and education to bring attention to all levels of interpersonal violence. Some programs that you see come out of the Unity Wing are Bringing in the Bystander, which is a workshop where we educate students and provide and teach tools for how to intervene if one does witness violence. We always want to be ahead of it. We want to teach folks how to be proactive. If you see something early on, how to interrupt it, how to intervene in safe ways, as well as providing folks with supportive resources. Other programs that you see come out of the Unity Wing also include Take Back the Night, which we just recently had, and that's an opportunity to really bring together survivors of all levels of interpersonal violence, as well as allies, to create an empowering space for students to be able to break their silence, as well as to be heard, for us as a community to listen to them, and so that they can also learn a bit more about supportive resources to help them to continue on that path towards healing, as well as achieving justice. So thank you all so much for your time and for this opportunity to speak with you.
Once again, we want to thank you so much for being here today. So sharing this information is really important to the Eastern Campus and all students here. We're trying to make this information more accessible to everyone.
Hi all, I'm here today with Bryce Krebser, the Director of the Counseling and Psychological Services here at Eastern.
So can you please tell us more about CAPS?
Yeah, sure. Counseling and Psychological Services is our on-campus psychological services center. Basically, we offer individual and group counseling that are free to students that request it, who are looking for any sort of support, professional, confidential support, to address all sorts of issues from depression, anxiety, trauma-related issues, anything with, roommate relations, a lot of different issues that folks come in to see us for. So our priority is really just to be accessible to students, to make sure that they know that we're here, how to get in touch with us. And I'm really glad to be a part of this so that I can hopefully help students become a little bit more aware of who we are and where we are and how we can help.
Thank you for that, Bryce. We appreciate that. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about services that you guys would provide to students seeking help for sexual violence?
Sure, yeah. So we know that incidents of sexual assault and interpersonal violence are unfortunately rare on college campus, common on college campuses. So it's definitely something that we intentionally focus on in terms of our training, in terms of the types of services we provide. All of our licensed clinicians have extensive trauma training because we know folks that have been through sexual assault and interpersonal violence typically have been traumatized. It's a pretty horrific experience that people endure, and we need to be ready and equipped to be able to provide things like EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or ART, which is accelerated rehabilitation therapy, both which use bilateral stimulation to help to process traumatic memories and symptoms. So we do a lot of intentional intervention that addresses folks that have been through traumatic experiences, including sexual assault. We also we've offered group experiences in the past. I know last year we had a TREM group, which is the trauma recovery empowerment model for women, which was a supportive group that was intentionally structured to help folks work through traumatic experiences in a supportive group environment. So those are some examples of the types of interventions that we've offered in the past, and will continue to offer into the future to support students who've been victimized.
Can you please also tell us how students can reach out to you if they are seeking help with sexual and interpersonal violence?
Sure. So as I mentioned this briefly with my first answer, but we really prioritize access and availability. We want to make sure students can get in touch with us. And there are a number of different ways that you can do that. Some folks are actually walked here by a supportive person, whether it's an RA, an HD, a roommate, something like that, who actually just wants to support the person getting into the CAPS. We're located at 182 High Street, which is where we're located right now. So a person can physically come in and they'll talk with our administrative assistant who rocks. Her name is Monica, and she will walk any student through the process of setting up an initial appointment so that we can get them services. So that's one way. You can physically come into our center. You can also email Monica at her email address, which is o'connorm@easternct.edu, and she will do the similar process if that's a more comfortable way that people can kind of get in touch with us, or calling our main line, which is 465-0181. And then again, you will get connected with Monica, and she will certainly take care of you. So we try to make ourselves, just to put that out there so that everybody knows the different ways that you can kind of make an appointment. And we typically can get folks in within the week to be seen as soon as possible. And it's also important to note that we have urgent appointments open every day, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 o'clock. Anybody can just walk in and get an urgent appointment at any time.
Thank you for that, Bryce. Is there any additional information or services that you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. So we know that incidents of sexual assault and interpersonal violence are very prevalent, and they seem to be at a pretty constant rate. So some of the work that I'm doing and I've been involved with since I've been at Eastern has been working with a program called the Men's Project, which engages college-age men to prevent sexual assault incidents of sexual assault and interpersonal violence. So it's an 11-week program where we take the men through a deconstruction process with with masculine norms that contribute to a permissive society. We increase empowerment and empathy with victim survivors, and then work towards bystander intervention in productive ways, as opposed to some of the kind of savior ways that sometimes men can traditionally get into. So it's something I've been working with for about 8 or 9 years at this point at Eastern, and it's my hope to continue it until the men keep showing up. So that's another part of the spectrum of services that we offer.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Welcome.
Having this knowledge and spreading it to the Eastern community is really important in order to get more people to be open to their stories and then also open to seek help. Hello everyone, my name is Jocelyn.
And I'm Jane. We're social workers here at Eastern, and we are joined here today by Jasenia Gonzalez from the Sexual Assault Crisis Center of Eastern Connecticut.
Hi everybody, nice to meet you guys. So just a little bit about the Sexual Assault Crisis Center, or SACC for short. We are a private nonprofit agency. We are partnered with Eastern Connecticut State University. However, we operate as a standalone agency and we are not required to report any incident to the university itself. We provide crisis intervention, legal and judicial advocacy, accompaniment to medical care, and trauma-focused counseling to survivors of sexual violence and to the friends and or family members of survivors. These services, which are provided by a certified sexual assault crisis counselor, are free and confidential to U.S. students. If you are a college student, we can provide you with a specifically trained advocate who is familiar with the policies and staff of your school. If you contact us, your call will remain private and confidential. Our 24-hour hotline number is 860-456-2789, and you can also call our office number at 860-456-3595. Please remember, if you guys need to talk, we are here to listen.
Thank you so much for your introduction. Can you please tell us about the resources students can find at SACC?
Yeah, absolutely. So we provide crisis intervention, legal and judicial advocacy, accompaniment to medical care, and trauma-focused counseling to survivors of sexual violence, along with their family members and friends of survivors. These services, which are provided by a certified sexual assault crisis counselor, are free and confidential to the individual.
Thank you for that, Jasenia. Now, can you tell us where SACC is located?
Yeah, sure. So our main office is located here, pretty conveniently in Willimantic, Connecticut. We also have a hub office located in New London, which we use periodically for victims who would like to receive services in that area.
And how can students contact you if they need help?
Yeah, if students are in emergent crisis, they are always able to contact our 24-hour hotline at 860-456-2789. They can also contact our office directly at 860-456-3595, or they can also email me directly.
Thank you for that, Jasenia. Now, are there any additional resources you'd like to tell us about SACC?
Yeah, so for students, if they're interested and they would like to report an incident to their schools, we also provide advocacy through the Title IX process, and we also help guide them through what those procedures look like as well.
Thank you so much, Jasenia, for being here and helping us spread this information to the Eastern campus. If you need more help or need more information, please don't be afraid to reach out to Jasenia or the SACC. We are here to help you, and we are here together.